Hello, everybody. Wildman Z here with another book review. This is a really cool book. It's called Becoming Wild by Carl Safina. It's a popular biology book. I would argue that the thesis of this book is basically that animals have personalities, that animals are people, particularly to higher animals. He focuses on three animal systems in here. He focuses on sperm whales. That section also has a lot of discussion about killer whales within it because of their competitiveness. Macaws, and also chimpanzees. And I really liked my favorite section in here, even though I'm a bird lover, I really like the sperm whale section because I'm a big time fan of Moby Dick. I've read it, I think, 7 times now. I haven't read it in 5 or 6 years, and I'm due for another read pretty soon. But I've been reading it since I was about 12 or 13, and I just was fascinated not only with the writing, which is beautiful, but also just the subject, which is whaling and the sperm whale itself. This book examines something that I'm quite familiar with, is that animals, in a sense, are people. And I don't mean human beings, and I'm not trying to make it an anthropomorphic argument that being a person means being a human. But this takes higher animals, mammals, and bird species, and focuses on how, for example, they pass they pass certain behaviors, that they have complex communication systems, that they have individualistic behavior amongst them, that they're not like something you can just summarize with a few, cursory lines about their behavior, that there's a lot of detail to how individuals act, how different, for the case of sperm whales, how different pods act, and so forth. And I've observed this. If you watch a few of my videos that I put up, I started out primarily just filming in my backyard and neighborhood. A lot of the wildlife I see here on Long Island, and I go to Vermont as well, and sometimes I film a little bit up there or take photos up there and so forth. But I really, just in just a purely amateurish way, I observe a lot of animals, including birds, also a lot of raccoons and deer and foxes and animals like that. And I know, like, for sure, foxes, raccoons, and deer have what I would consider personality. They vary a lot amongst individuals. Families do very unique things, particularly with raccoons. I've noticed with them, I have a raccoon in my backyard, a family of them. I call them, they're all descendants of Jailbird. Jailbird was a raccoon who, when I would come out to feed them, would hold on to the bars of my railing like a prisoner, and it was cute, and I would give it nuts, and then I think it was a female. It passed that trait on to its kids, so 6 or 7 years later, we have the second or third generation after the original Jailbird, and they all hold on to the bar. Maybe I'll try to film that one night, and when I go out there, and there's a whole bunch of other raccoons, and they all don't do that. Certain raccoons have learned how to try to get at my back door and kind of wiggle it primarily to get my attention. And I look out, and it's the same bunch that does it. It's not like every raccoon picks it up, and he pursues this idea, except scientifically. I really like the section on the sperm whale. I'll focus on that and maybe a little bit of macaws in this talk. Those are the sections I like a little bit more than the chimpanzee section. What I thought was cool about the sperm whale section was the emphasis. He would go out with a researcher, I think it was off the Dominican Republic. I read this last year. And the person he went with, the expert, is really spends a lot of time recording their languages, characterizing words for different things. That means stingray, that means killer whale, that means boat, whatever. They do have a language system, and what was interesting about it, he said basically they have a clan system, that there's a family language, and they can communicate with there's a certain number of clans in the world, but then those clans he didn't think could communicate with each other. That they had different language systems, if you will. There's an interesting scene in here where they're watching a pod of killer whales get attacked. Sperm whales get attacked by killer whales. I think the term is a pod, but the group of sperm whales was all females with some calves. I think the bull males all go to deeper water. And they were attacked by a whole bunch of killer whales. Basically, it's like game theory. It's like the ploy of the killer whale is, we're going to keep harassing you until you give up a calf, and then we'll leave you alone. We're going to eat the calf. And so these sperm whale mothers were like, hell no. They formed like a circle, but they were vastly outnumbered by these quicker killer whales, and they let out a call that this scientist had never heard before, who was with Carl Safina. And apparently he was in an area, and this is why he used it, where there was several clans present, and I guess he has these whales tagged or knows from the vectors they're coming from what clan they're in. But at any rate, bull whales who were not of their clan came out of deep water, so apparently there was a common call that even different clans understood. So there was a lot about their language, a lot about how they would recognize him, and they would come up and sort of greet him and so forth. And I know that as well when dealing with deer. They definitely know me versus strangers. They know when I come from the agricultural store called Agway with a certain color bag. They look up, they see the orange bag or the shape of it or whatever it is. They know it's deer feed. They know it's different than my groceries or something else, and they come running out of the woods. Maybe it's a smell, but it seems to be also a visual cue. They look up and you can see their eyes get bright and so forth. I have a buddy of mine when I travel around when I'm not here, he feeds them, and they've learned who he is when they see him come in the driveway with deer food or packages that look like something from the agricultural store. They come running over with a lot more speed and enthusiasm than if he's carrying some groceries in the house for himself or for me. So I don't want to say that they're as smart, but I think that we make ourselves the center of the universe, and I think there's going to be, well, in my lifetime, I think we're going to discover all sorts of things besides humans that are more intelligent than ours. I think we're interfacing with them right now, but I think right on our planet right now, in a sense, we're surrounded by a host of aliens. You know, there's a science fiction story, and I read it years ago. I forget who it's by, if somebody's ever read it, where it's narrated by a parrot talking about, you guys are so interested in humans, aliens, excuse me. Why don't you talk to me? I'm an alien on your own planet here. I speak. It's like nobody wants to talk to me. I'm a parrot. I'm like a different species than you guys are. And it's kind of funny because on our world, I'm very interested in UFOs and non-human intelligence, but we have non-human intelligence right on this planet already. And I think some of these animals are very intelligent, like whales particularly, and probably some of the higher apes. And, I remember years ago the study with Coco the gorilla, and I remember they measured its IQ, and it was something like 70. It was, when she communicated, it was like she wasn't dumb at all. She understood what death was and she would make synthesized words with sign language. And it was, once it got over the fact that it couldn't speak, but it could use its hands, it was a burgeoning of its display, to us at least, of intelligence. But you watch any chimpanzee and open a banana, you realize they have certain things that they're a lot smarter than we are about. We're a technological animal. That's our big advantage, and I wonder how much of that is simply the utility of our hands and so forth. But at any rate, this is a great book. The section about the macaws I really liked as well. I thought was one of the things that was really interesting in that. I forgot, it was somewhere in Central America. They were studying the macaws, and they realized that the people who were the native people to that area who had a resort would not take any special notice of these birds because they see them every day. And these birds, even though they got all these great fruits like papayas and whatnot to eat, they really like pancakes. And so the people who were the locals would not give them pancakes. But when Americans or Canadians or Europeans, from Europe came over to visit, they could recognize foreigners, and they would come down to the table and sit next to those people, ignoring the people who lived there, basically. And they would knew that these people were suckers, and they would give them a piece of a pancake with some syrup on it, which was what they really wanted. So, and I observed that with animals as well. I sit in my chair sometimes when I'm here on Long Island in the winter by the window, and I feed the deer all the time. But boy, in the winter they'll sit by the window and they'll give me the guiltiest look. I'll be like, "I'm reading, guys. Give me an hour. I'll come out there and feed you." And they'll just make this pathetic face, and they're all got guts. They've been eating a ton of food. Other people feed them besides myself. And they guilt me into feeding them. And they know they're using psychology on me, and they eat, and then they come back, they do it 2-3 times, and they go about their business, and then maybe they come back later on in the day. So, at any rate, if you like animals, if you're interested in biology, this is a really good book. It's got a lot of anecdotes in it, and the section on chimpanzees is good too. It's just been a while since I read it, and I don't remember too many anecdotes about that. But the sperm whale section and the macaw section, I remember when I read this, I really liked the most. But check it out. Carl Safina, he's a good writer. He's local to me. He's at Stony Brook University, I believe, in the biology department, or one of the related departments there. Everybody have a good day, and Wild Man Z out. Take care.